Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another church in the interface of Leicestershire and Rutland. This is the church at Edmondthorpe. Now, Edmondthorpe Church is redundant today. It's a country house church where the country house has gone. It was destroyed by fire. I believe, if I recall correctly, during the Second World War, a lot of these buildings were taken over by the military, not necessarily our military, but military of, in some cases, the nations that have been occupied by the Germans. You get the Free French, for example, you get the Americans come in later in the war, and sometimes our military, and sometimes something goes wrong and the whole thing gets burned down. That's what happened at Edmondthorpe. Now, the church here is largely 14th, 15th century. It's not as elaborate, shall we say, as the one at Wymondham. It is, however, only 2 minutes drive from Wymondham, which is why they said, well, which one do we keep using? Do we keep using the one in the middle of the village where lots of people live, or the one that's associated with the country house that burned down during the war? And the answer, of course, is the one that people actually live. But there are 12th century origins here. There's architecture from the 13th, 14th, 15th centuries, and most notably, as with a lot of the country house churches, as with Stapleford, what you have is memorials to the family. Unlike Stapleford here, the building has been kept, the medieval building has been retained. It's no doubt in good enough nick, and it is in the village here, not in the park. But still, it's a country house church, and we'll see as we go round some of those features. So let's do that. As usual, then we start at the west end, and we have here the font. This is maybe late 12th, probably more likely early 13th century. Local stone, looks like it has been painted at one point or whitewashed. The walls are lime washed, so rather than being that bright, stark white, they are this rather nice yellow colour, and you can see you've got memorials here to the various families who held the estate. They're doing work outside in the churchyard, so a little bit of a strimmer noise there. Now, church heating is a perennial issue, and here we have how churches were heated in the 19th century. Yep, that is a stove sitting in the nave. It goes all the way up there, and basically this is just a cast iron stove that puts off heat. It can't be the most efficient heating system in the world, but it is a heating system of some kind. There was maybe another thing over there, but it's rather unusual. The north aisle here is used, and you can see up here we have some interesting features, shall we say. This is a 14th century tomb recess. No evidence of whose it was, but it's a tomb recess. And up here we have remains of the day and elements of, you can see there's a nice chunky 18th century communion rail there, and that's part of a multi-decker, I suspect. You've got the lectern there, and then behind you've got the royal arms. I can't really see because of the light. You've got, just take my word for it, you've got the royal arms up there. Piscina. Pulpit here today is Victorian. Looking down here, we have another royal arms. This is of George III, dated 1777, and you can see there the old roof line, and there's a old opening up there, nice 15th century roof. And the chancel. There's a nice little organ, which is so positioned as to make it hard for some people to see the communion table. No stained glass, you will notice. There's nobody to give any. There's a few little bits of medieval glass surviving the upper. See here, you've got this lady here with her fashionable headdress. We look west down there, and on the other side you've got this gentleman who is not very happy. Oh, maybe it's a toothache. Another stove, so this heats the people here. And here you've got the memorial to the Reverend William Bryan Killoch, 33 years rector of Edmondthorpe, died 26th of April 1879 in the 80th year of his age. And we've got here, again, can you just about see, there's Aaron, and on the other side we've got, hard to see, Moses. The sedilia have been turned into part of a memorial to Peter Boundy of Clare Hall, M.A., rector here, born at Shelton, Bedfordshire, April the 22nd, 1661. And he died, she died, aged. And oddly, this memorial appears to have been set up before either of them died, and their names were never recorded, and the date of death was never recorded, which is interesting. Communion table, nice 17th century table there, and there's the dropped sill sedilia and the piscina. And then on this side we've got this aumbrey, you can see where the frame would have been, and that's one of the remains of the Easter sepulchre, I expect, and the clergy door. The screen itself is at least partially 15th century, I would suspect. Certainly it's medieval in parts. Being restored, these things normally have, because the other thing is there's some cases where Victorians took a look at something like this and said, I think it's too late, it's late medieval, let's bung it out. And so we look at these pictures now and go, why? Because you make me late medieval, it's still medieval. And bunging it out and replacing it with something made in cheap pine is just not a good idea. So this is the family pew. This is where the big house family would go. And various times. This is the big Smith Memorial. This is the grave and religious Sir Roger Smith, Knight, Lord of this manor and formerly one of the justices of this county, who's there he is. And there's his wife. In fact, two wives, because he's at the top, and then he's got his... hard to tell which wife you're looking at here. Obviously one at a time. And here's Edward Smith, his eldest son. And here we have Roger, who was Edward's eldest son. And you can see that he's in armour. Dies age of 19 in 1646, so Civil War era. So he's in armour, he's got his prayer book because he's a pious gentleman. And no, you can't really tell by people's hairstyle, but I suspect he would be a parliamentarian rather than more the Puritan side of things. But it's hard to tell. And here we have a memorial to Edward Smith, Esquire, and remains deposited in the family vault beneath his tomb, so under the floor of the pew, basically. Very often the case that you have the people would sit upon the remains of their ancestors, and he died in 1730. Trying to see when he died. Now he changed time of eternity in 1762, age 57. He had a son, his one and only son dies in 1730 November, and dies March the 23rd, what we would say was 1732. So just a couple of years. And then, of course, that's where the empire out of the Smiths family. The male line died out. And here we have some more Smiths. So Edward Smith and Dame Olivia Smith. So she died 1710, he in 1720. He left no issue and it never went to Edward Smith, the gentleman that we had back there. And then he goes off, I believe, to someone who's related in the female line. There's the female line, so this Sir Edward Smith. Is it Sir Edward Smith? Hard to tell sometimes. Um, so more Smiths, and then you have children, wives, and here are a couple of their funerary hatchments. These would be hung up at the house, or at time of death, and they'd be brought in here. And you often get, you see here, you have resurgam, I shall arise, which of course is a reference to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come, the life of the age to come. And so that is the inside here at Edmondthorpe. Maybe a little bit constrained as what we can do outside because of the setting more than anything else. So let's have a look around. So we're outside here now at Edmondthorpe, St Michael and All Angels, and you see this nice solid tower. The south side's been having the grass mown at the moment. I can't really ask them to stop for the filming, so we'll have a look at the north side. And it's very much the same at both sides. This is the main entrance side. This is where the village street is, and then we will have to just have a look over and point the camera and show where the big house was. Its remains are still there. There's still some ruins. But yes, without further ado, let's have a look at the outside, shall we? And so St Michael and All Angels, Edmondthorpe. So, no spire here, but we've got a nice little pole in the middle of the weathercock on, and some very nice carving and gargoyles on the tower. And on this side, there's some use of deliberate banding for decoration on the walls. And see there's the clergy door. And as we come up this way, this wall over here, you can just see there's a gate, and that was the gate into the estate of the big house. The big house, say, is destroyed by fire in the war, so that's not there. Well, some bits and pieces, that's all. And so that, there you can see that you've got this quatrefoil, and behind that is that arch on the inside, and the priest hall's been blocked up, as we saw inside, again, because there's no real need for it. Churchyard cross. This is a case where the north side is the main entrance front. And yes, you see here this deliberate banding, this light and darker stone, giving this stripy appearance. It's always rather fun, and it's again demonstration of how they could use this stuff. Now, up here, and you see the corners, that's ballflower. We've seen ballflower before, because ballflower is the 14th century decoration. If you're 14th century, ballflower's the way to go. And then we've got the doorway in here. As I said, this is done on its own. It's maintained by the Church's Conservation Trust, because without the big house, there's no way to maintain a church this size in this location, given how close we are to Wymondham. And then down here, here's something to have a look at. This sort of memorial is very typical of this part of the world, this part of England. As you see, we've got it's slate, and we've got a little. So you've got Thomas Osborne, died aged 90. Died at 90 years of age, so he's almost 89. Golly. Husband and children. Alibel, his wife, who died in 1833, aged 53. Husband and children, weep not in sorrow of spirit, but joy that my time is now o'er. I'm gone the good part to inherit, where sorrow and sin are no more. So. And you find these epitaphs. Now, some of them are obviously composed for the occasion, but most of them, they are these straightforward, you're getting out of a book of epitaphs. Nothing wrong with that. And you see the setting here. And over there, there's a big house, so that is the overgrown south side. So that is Edmondthorpe, St Michael and All Angels. And so St Michael and All Angels, Edmondthorpe. I didn't manage to find a single sort of viewpoint on the south side, so I close here. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.